sight. Far out over the range, nothing moved except a single crow flapping across the blue-gray sky. No matter which direction she stared, nothing looked out of place. Sam knew what any outsider would say. 7 horses grazed in the big pasture, 2 more were stabled in barn stalls. If she heard neighs, they had to come from these horses, but she knew that wasn't so. Sam recognized the voice of each horse on Riverbend Ranch. She wasn't hearing Ace's high, soaring call, coaxing her to go for a ride, or Strawberry's cranky snorting. The sounds resembled Dark Sunshine's longing whinnies toward the Calico Mountains, but the buckskin mare couldn't make all the overlapping sounds Sam had heard. Just because she couldn't see anything out of the ordinary didn't mean everything was fine. Jake had accused her of trying to be a horse psychic. That was ridiculous, but Sam and the magnificent stallion called the Phantom definitely shared a connection. Since summer, his herd had been in turmoil. First, the Phantom had been accused of stealing domestic mares, and a reward had been posted for his capture. The wild bunch had been pursued by rustlers, then left without a leader when the Phantom had been used as a bucking bronc in a rodeo. Just a few weeks ago, an orphaned cougar had stalked the Phantom's herd, hoping to make a meal of a spring foal. But the young cougar had been captured and transplanted to another mountain range. What could have the horses stirred up now? Just feet from Sam's window, a second crow crossed the sky, cawing a warning. "That's it," Sam muttered. She'd jet through her chores, saddle Ace, check things out, and still be back here in time to meet Jake. Sam dressed as fast as she could, then set to work. She watered the herbs in Graham's window garden, made up the bed for Aunt Sue, who was coming from San Francisco for the wedding, and cleaned up her breakfast dishes. She dashed from the house, collected the hens' eggs, and made sure all the stock had been fed and watered. She turned Sweetheart into the new round pen next to the barn, but left Ace in his stall. "I'll be back for you in a minute, good boy." She kissed his muzzle, then ran to refill Blaze's water dish. The border collie looked toward the front gate and whined. Sam listened for the horses. Nothing. Blaze rarely fretted over horses anyway, unless there was a new animal to inspect. Now he was probably concerned by all the unusual comings and goings. "Don't worry, Blaze," she said as the dog licked her hand. "They'll all be back." Eventually, she almost added, but Blaze wouldn't understand. After the wedding, Dad and Brianna were leaving for their honeymoon in San Francisco, where they'd stay in Aunt Sue's apartment. Graham was riding with them to the Reno airport, then flying out to spend Christmas with a friend in New Mexico. Aunt Sue would drive home with Sam and stay most of winter vacation, but that was too much to explain to a dog. With her outdoor chores finished, Sam ran to the barn for Ace. The bay gelding stretched his head over the rails of his corral and greeted her with a low, rumbling sound. He tossed his black mane from his eyes, bearing the white star on his forehead. "Hey, pretty boy," Sam crooned as she saddled him. "Want to go for a quick ride?" As if he understood, the gelding bobbed his head. Sam smoothed her hand over the Freeze brand on his neck. Ace was her friend, but he was also a Mustang. If she had trouble finding the wild horses, he'd do it for her. Sam ground-tied Ace just outside the front door, retrieved the basket of eggs she'd left on the porch, and ran inside. "Eggs in the refrigerator," she muttered to herself. What would Aunt Sue think if there were no eggs for Christmas breakfast? Fidgeting, Sam found a pencil and made herself reread the list posted on the refrigerator door. She crossed off everything except for the reminder to return a phone call from their neighbor, Link Slocum. "Call Link about home on the range," Graham had written. After that, she'd drawn 3 question marks. Sam shook her head. "No way," she muttered. Link Slocum could wait by the phone until next Christmas. Twice he'd conspired to capture the Phantom. Sam was polite to him in public, but if home on the range was another of Link's business schemes, she wanted no part of it. She tried not to say no to people she loved, but she could stand firm against her enemies. Time to go. Sam started to grab